Okay, ready?
I'm so ready.
Welcome to the Parenting Dare podcast. This is episode 24, and my name is Lori Dorneman, and my son Eric and I are recording in my home in Goddard, Kansas for, the second time.
You darn tootin' right. It's the second time. The first time we had technical difficulties. I don't want to talk about it. Let's get into it.
All right, so this post was written with great love for mothers of little people. And, Eric, let's see, about maybe 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, you asked me to think about some favorite parenting hacks I had, and how many did I come up with?
Well, just the place that you went immediately was really funny because when I was thinking hacks, I was like, yo, is there a certain way you sort or fold laundry or multitask or just put clothespins in funny places that just help? And you're just like,
No,
I think about dying. I was like, whoa.
No, okay.
Hack?
Time out. That is not what I said. I said my only hack I have is I let kids go to bed with their clothes on. And you said, yeah, just like that.
Something like that. Yeah, no, that's
but
not that's not a hack.
That's not really a hack.
You raised 8 kids. You got to have some cheat code somewhere.
Yes, but after, so for people that know me, they're like, yeah, Laura, you don't have any parenting hacks, because I'm not like that Pinteresty, perfecty, like everything's all organized type of mom. But after you asked that question, I thought, okay, why, we have 8 kids. What has made, so a hack to me is like a shortcut. And so I thought about that, like what has made life better as a mom? And I do have something to share with you young moms, and it is about dying. But this has helped me so much with all, when I was a young mom with the headbangers and screamers and breastfeeders.
Still not sure what headbangers.
And yes, we had headbangers, and they were just always clinging to me, sometimes to my mind and sometimes to my body, but kids were always on me. And so I actually have really develop something, if you will, that really, really helped me. So that's what I'm happy to share today, Eric. I'm
excited about it.
All right. So just some background. I am from a large family. I'm the third of 11 kids. So my mom and dad, they had 7 daughters in a row before the first son was born. And because of all that, estrogen, I know the beauty and the chaos and the drama and all the parts of life that just goes in having all these girls. But that, did not prepare me for the intensity and constancy of motherhood as being the mom. So Eric, you were born in 93, Rachel in 95, and Mitch in 96. So I had 3 kids in 3.5 years. And I was just shocked. I was shocked at how demanding it was. And I was actually shocked at how I reacted to that. I was impatient a lot. I was angry a lot. And mostly I just felt inadequate and overwhelmed. And that alarmed me because I did not become a mother, to suck at it. And I just wasn't sure how to turn the tide.
Did you think that it would just be perfect? That you'd have these little machines that just pooped and puked and just stuff came out of all ends and it would just be beautiful all the time?
I didn't think you would have things coming out of all ends. I don't know. You
just pictured the Rockabye Baby. I'll
well,
love
there
you
was
forever,
Gerber
I'll
commercials when I was
always
growing up.
thing?
Yes. And kids are portrayed as perfect little angels. I mean, everybody loves all these baby pictures and all that. And I discovered very quickly that I had those high expectations, and you people, you cried all the time for no apparent reason. And even as you grew and matured and you became fun little people, toddlers are irrational. They are irrational. They're just crazy. And they'll just start screaming just for no reason at all. And as an 8 and 10 month old child, and by the way, Eric, you were our quickest walker. I think you were walking at 8.5 months.
I mean, I'm surprised you had more after me. I was perfect. So.
But as toddlers run around the house, they actually fall into things. And literally, a majority of my time in those days, I was just trying to prevent head trauma. And I just kept following you kids around because there's a lot of corners.
See, in my head, when I think hacks, I'm yeah, we grabbed the pool noodles and lined the kitchen table with them. That is what my mind initially was. So where you took this was just I thought it was funny because it's just so you.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to get to the hack soon, but I want to talk a little bit about you, Eric. Okay. Just so people can know like where I was.
I'm excited about this.
When I don't add this extra stuff, people who do listen to the podcast are like, Lori, I have like a 25-minute drive and you were done in 17 minutes. And so the whole goal is they said, just do a 30-minute podcast. Try to do a 30-minute. So this will probably be 20 to 30 minutes. But it's the extra stuff here that I do want to talk about because, Eric, you were anal retentive. And that's
like that's technical, like I'm an engineering baby.
Nope. So because
I want it to be. I already know where this is going. I forgot. I willfully forgot about this part of my life.
All right. So I had to do a lot of research, and there was no Google at the time, so I had a lot of discussions with doctors. But probably because we moved and maybe because I had a baby, but something happened that Eric he needed to control something. So he controlled his bowel movements. That means he would just hold his bowels and he became anal retentive. That's actually what that word means. Except you cannot hold your bowels forever. And so the poop would come out at the oddest times. And there was
like a ticking time bomb.
Well, there was, like, I didn't want to just sit and wait for the descent to happen. So
what do you mean the descent?
Well, you just wouldn't poop in the potty no matter what all these rewards.
Okay, real quick. How old was I at this point?
You were 4.
Okay.
So, you were potty trained at like 18 months. You were the fastest potty trainer ever, and it was all great. And I thought, oh, this is so easy. Then all of a sudden you develop this, I'm no longer going to do this correctly thing. And,
oh my God.
But we'd be at the park. I'd have the baby Mitchell and the, 1.5-year-old Rachel. And then you'd be playing. And
hold it together. No.
I would look at you. I just remember you had these gray sweats on. I looked at you and your eyes got so big and I was like, what's wrong, Eric? And you had this mouth that was going down your thigh. Like I could just see it. I'm like, all right, time to go home, everybody.
I can't believe this happened in my life to me.
Yeah. So on a side note, and I think this is really cool. Do you want to know how I got you to, or helped you, encourage you to actually stop doing that?
Well, I don't do it anymore, so that would be fun. Just for clarity's sake.
So
how did you fix that?
I went to a parenting talk. Jay Baba, who actually became a friend of mine, she was doing this, really how to parent your kids in a way that really respects the child. And I really hadn't heard of stuff like this. No, she was so funny, and she really entered into her kids' space. And she said, you can't make your kids do anything. You just can't. It has to be up to them. You have to give them control. And she's like, that's foreign to us. But she gave the example of maybe a 21-year-old who wouldn't take pills that were going to save his life. And the parents had to get to the point where they said, honey, that's fine. If you don't take the pills and you die, you died happy because you were controlling it, kind of thing. And they gave him that choice. Once they stepped fully back, he started taking his pills, but he had to do that. And so I was like, oh, I know, I know that's extreme, but because it was so extreme, I went, oh, I'm controlling this somehow. Somehow I'm in part of this, dynamic. And so I just went home and I looked you straight in the eye and says, Eric, I love you so much, and you can poop in your pants for the rest of your life, and I will just clean it up. You just need to know I love you. What? And then, guess how many times you pooped after that in your pants?
I almost don't want to guess.
0.
That was it.
That was it. And so Jay Baba became queen of my life.
That's so fascinating. There's just like that control part is just like at such a young age that it manifests. Like, what?
I know.
Humans are so fast.
I know. So we could go on a big tangent, but I thought that was needed to say. That was good. But so your sister Rachel at the time, so you were holding your bowels, and Rachel had ear infections a lot, and kind of my fault too because of the food I was feeding her was making her sick. But she couldn't communicate with me, and so she just really was garbled speech. I called her my Helen Keller, and it was really frustrating. And then baby Mitchell was a puker. And so that little flapper thing, the esophagus thing wasn't fully developed. So he would yak like a ton. And I never knew if it was going to be a lot or a little every single time I nursed him. And I nursed him for a full year. And there were days he would go through 7 and 8 sets of clothes. And sometimes he regurgitated on me. So I had to change my clothes too. And that sounds like...
You put that so politely.
Well,
regurgitated on me.
Well,
he looked chucked all over you.
Well, milk... breast milk is fine, but it stinks if it sits out. And so you have, even though you have this itty bitty, baby clothes, all those sets of clothes, it's just a pain to keeping them clean. And so that was hard. And I wanted to find a way to enjoy that. And
those 3 things.
Well, okay. But also you have to add in sleep deprivation because every mom is sleep deprived. Sometimes you guys would wake me up 4, 5, 6, 7 times a night. Not just the nursing baby, but, just had a dream or whatever it was. So it was...
Tell you a story.
Yes.
The thing, so you've mentioned the Rachel thing before. And, like, I remember her going to, like, what was it, like, speech
therapy?
Therapy. And, like, I don't remember it being that bad. And then I remember we watched, like, a home video. And it was like dad came home from work, mom made supper, mom's talking to Rachel inaudibly. You can't tell anything Rachel's saying, but mom's having a conversation and dad's face is just like, what's happening?
I spoke Rachel. I taught her sign language actually.
So like a little bit of, oh my gosh, I do remember that.
It was hard. And the thing is, I would say she would say something like juice, and I didn't know if she was saying shoes or juice. And so it was hard. Like I'd say, I'd go get her shoes, and she would flip out. Now it's the irrational toddler.
She talks great now.
And she'd be screaming, yes, yes. You could listen to episode 22. She shares a lot about her missionary spirit. Yeah, she's awesome. But back in the day, it was hard. And I want to really let moms know that I know. I know that quiet time in the middle of the night when you are sleeping, dead sleep, and you hear that baby cry. I know what it feels like to have to die to self and get up. I know that. I lived that for so many decades. And, I had strength. I knew I had strength, and I had a vision for my life, and I knew that I could live without having this pity party for myself every second of my day. I knew that I was made for that, and my kids deserve that, and I deserve that. And so I just wanted more. And I was not a prayerful person at that time, but I just... an idea kind of began to form. All right, so I know that death is a good teacher. And when someone's faced with a clear sense of their own mortality, they really begin to live, priority shifts and perspective is gained. And have you noticed that, Eric, in your 25 years?
I just, I've seen it just, in movies and stuff. But just, I know from talking to you so much that you have, this... just graspy understanding of death, and is that all from your Brenda?
Yeah.
In high school?
Yeah. Absolutely. So Brenda Florian, when we were 17, she had faced about 1.5 years of cancer, and then she was given 4 months to live. And so
And how old were you?
I know, it's just 17. I think of that. My girls just turned 16. And that was when she faced the cancer, when she was just, a sophomore. But so when we were juniors, we were actually in history class, and she looked at me and she told me that she had 4 months to, Lori, she called me Bird, the docs gave me 4 months. And it was one of those things that was just so surreal. But what I really took from that is she appreciated every moment that she had, ish. And I'll explain the ish, but we'd be driving around small town Nebraska, and she would just stop me, and she'd go, Lori, look at that sunset. Just look at those colors. And she would just see things, and her eyes saw differently than mine did.
Was she not doing that before?
And her eyes saw differently than she had before too. it was almost like she was just trying to take it all in and absorb it. And
16, my gosh.
yeah, and the hard part, the ish part, she was also 17, and so she had fear of the unknown. And then, her leg had been amputated, so she was struggling with that. And then she had cancer of the lungs, and so here she's riddled with cancer. So yes, she was appreciating it, but her body was being consumed by this disease. And so when I had you 3 little kids, and I thought, okay, I want to appreciate this life. I saw Brenda. She was appreciating life when she was dying. However, it was kind of mitigated by her inability, like her death, the actual part that she was dying, literally. That
she had a finite time, and that just like made her want to slow down.
But what was the bad part? She really did have a finite part. So I was thinking, how could I extract the good out of that type of situation and create a mindset for myself, that Brenda was able to achieve. And so basically, could I rig my life to pretend that I had a set number of months to live?
Which just sounds
morbid.
Kind of, yeah, morbid, a little crazy. Like, just like you have 3 crazy kids, and the fact that you want to love them so much, but you're just like, get away from me. Okay, how can I fix this? And
right.
Then you immediately went there. Like, that's...
I didn't immediately go there. It took a long time of just like, I used to set a little piece of paper down and have hours down, and I would put a smiley face if I went through the whole hour just simply being kind and nice and not screaming or yelling or getting impatient.
Would that method explode over at the end of the day?
Well, it just helped me be a little bit more, whatever. Okay. But I wanted something more. I wanted my beliefs to change. I wanted something deeper than just like this, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that little hour by hour crap. So I actually love the idea of setting a time. And I also knew for my personality type, I'd have to make it real for me. And so I sat down with my calendar and I plotted out 6 months, and I actually wrote down the date of my death. And then I took some time and I just really imagined everything. And, Brenda had planned her funeral. She had actually asked her pallbearers to be her pallbearers. And she really picked out her colors and everything. And so I did that. I just thought about my own funeral, and I allowed the feelings of, I'm a mom, I've got these 3 kids, I'm going to die in 6 months. And I allowed myself to get a little overwhelmed and a little heavy in the heart. And it became real to me. I made it become real to me. But the beauty of it, Eric, I still had my strength. I was not being consumed by cancer. I wasn't going to radiation treatments. I had my health. And so what this strategy did, it gave my heart and mind a different way to think.
And if you didn't go there emotionally, like I know just from like studying on my own and what we've done before, just like the emotions of like addiction and substances and literally just like thoughts. Emotion is a reinforcing driver.
Key driver,
It just like, it sends such a stronger signal in your mind. So like just the fact that you took the time to really go there.
Well, Eric, I was smart.
I was shitting my pants at the time. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was trying to love you. So it was so cool what happened. I fell back in love with life. And I would wake up, with just as few hours of sleep. But I would just I'd be grateful. I'd be laying in bed going, thank you, God. Thank you that I have a little child who's screaming at me. I remember going through all these clothes that I had, that people would donate clothes, and instead of just being so overwhelmed, just being thankful that I had these clothes, and just a different perspective. And then one time I took you kids to Sedgwick County Park, and I loved going to this park. I still do. And you were like, Mom, can we jump in this mud? And I was looking at the lake's edge, and mud. Okay, mud. I don't do mud. And my first thought was like, no. My second thought was, no. But then I was like, okay, Lori, you're dying, and your kid's going to need good, strong, fun memories. And so I looked at you,
which are made outside of the ordinary.
Yes.
AKA
mud. That's true.
That's awesome.
That's true. So I just nodded at you and smiled, and your faces, like, you were so excited.
Quick
And
disclaimer, I don't remember that.
but it was a gift to me, and it was awesome just to watch you splashing around. And the mud did wash off. It was a mess, but another time I remember Rachel was on the driveway, and I just looked at her, and the sun was coming down, and she had little pigtails on, and it was she just looked so pretty. And then another time she wanted her whole head to be pigtails. And this is before we had an African-American daughter. And so, 2 was like the normal amount of pigtails, but she wanted like 7. And so I put all these pigtails all over her head, and she loved them. And she like walked around the house just all excited. and it just was awesome, and normally I'd say no, and I don't know if I'd probably say
that's
no,
annoying.
but yeah, it's just like, no, honey, we're just going to do 2 or whatever. But
That's
there was
awesome.
just
That
way
is.
to live. And so, and I also just know that I looked at you guys differently. I studied you. I just remember just pouring in, like mesmerizing your skin and your fingernails and your lips. And then, I mean, sometimes I would just look at you and cry because I'm thinking, I'm not going to be with them in like 4 months, and then in 3 months, and then 2 months. And then it would just make me hug you, and I would just snuggle you tighter. And so
How does that work with, like, you kept your strong side, though? Like you said, you kept your strong side, but these other heavy emotions, like...
What do you mean strong side?
Well, you said I really went there emotionally with, like, the death part, but
Right.
I wasn't actually dying, so I didn't
Well,
get
I mean,
depressed.
just physically. I'm not emotionally. Physically, I was not consumed by cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I still had my
okay.
physical strength. Like Brenda was literally on the bed. I mean, towards the end, she couldn't move,
Man.
because she could hardly breathe with the cancer of her lungs. And so I didn't have that. I still had my body's strength. And so the emotional,
Was just more in that direction.
yeah. And, when I would make the time to think about that. But when the death date rolled around, that first one, I just thank God that I didn't actually die that day. And I just thanked him for the gifts given. And then throughout the course of my motherhood, I would just redo it every so often. And when my patience was really short and the days were really long, I would give myself a month to live, because 30 days is not a lot of time, Eric. And it just amplified everything. And okay, all of this, it kind of sounds morbid. And the truth of it, though, is you and I only have so many days on this earth. And it's actually a grace to be able to live in that knowledge. And
In the moment.
yeah, in the moment. And so scripturally in Psalm 90, Moses says, 70 is the sum of our years, or 80 if we are strong. And most of them are fruitless toil, for they pass quickly and we drift away. Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain wisdom of heart. And I love that. That kind of became my mantra.
What is that again?
Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain wisdom of heart. That's awesome. And so this is not really a normal, typical parenting hack, but it changed everything for me.
It's like a parenting mindset
Shift.
during the toddler minefield.
Right. And, I haven't really actually thought about this for years till you had me pondering this post. And then so what I decided to do is do it again and just see if it would give me some even more clarity, now that I'm a mom of middles and bigs. And
What does that mean?
I'm sorry, littles are the toddlers. I don't have any littles anymore. I have middles. I have 10-year-old,
middles are now
14-year-old, and 2 16-year-olds, and 1 19-year-old. So I have, oh my gosh, I have 4 teens. I love the teens. I was born to be a mom of teens. So I have them, and then I have the bigs. I have 3 in their 20s. All right, so what I did is I set my death date for 3 months from now on May 1st, which was actually Brenda's her death date, her birthday into heaven, and for May 1st, 2019. And so this week I really thought about it, and I just let it weigh me down a bit. And it was interesting when I thought about my husband Russ, and I thought of each of you kids, and my heart hurt. It just ached, and I just thought, oh my gosh, like 3 months. And I just allowed the feeling to come again. And interestingly, all those intense and just weird, crazy mommy thoughts that fill my day on it, like all the time, like all these little worries and crazies, they just softened. Like I felt them soften. And then I actually went and got some sushi because it was Bridget's birthday. And then I bought cookies for the kids. And I don't buy cookies normally ever. But I just thought, oh, I want to see their
You literally
faces.
never buy cookies.
I don't. And so when the kids walked in the door, they were like, what? And I just said, I had little stacks of these little thin.
Okay, you also cheated a little bit because you got like little they weren't Oreos. You told me you bought them Oreos, and I was like, what? The Oreos haven't seen our house in so long, but they're like the wafery, like tiny little.
Yeah, they're
cheating.
Coconut. My kids love
Sacrilege.
coconut. So
Oreo
what I
sacrilege.
did is they came in, I had 5 of them on little plates, and they were like, are those for us? And I'm like, yeah. I says, but don't you think they taste better with ice cream? And they're like, yes!
These
Like,
are highlights of like
we have
in
arrived.
the Dornovan family.
So, but it was cool. And then, I just noticed since then that Mama Dornovan is just more relaxed and in tune with my kids. And I just keep thinking May 1st, May 1st. And they're still doing the same behaviors that always irritate me. But I was like, okay, these kids are going to be speaking at your funeral, Lori.
Let's hope they say something good.
What do you want them to say about you?
That's a good question.
Like that you always corrected them or that you really enjoyed them. And like each one of them felt like your favorite. And so
We all know who the real favorite is.
Yes. But it was a big difference. And so I thought that, I'm kind of crushing it as a mom now. I feel very confident in my mothering skills now that I'm older and the kids are older. I haven't killed anybody.
What did you feel like right before you did that? So like just several weeks ago.
Well, I just feel, I do have concerns. I do
like you're back going just through the motions and now you're like enjoying it?
Well, it's perspective. Like, it's just, like I said, it just softened the edges and I can just let my kids live a little and just allow, I guess. And, you are not a parent yet, right? I mean, I'm sorry, you are not a parent yet. So
I don't think so.
As mothers.
No, I'm not.
As mothers, we have many concerns and we have much to do. It is achingly easy to lose perspective of what matters most. And so, the questions I'd ask you, what if you want to really engage and love and appreciate those gifts in your home and you want to remain patient amid the crazy? And if you want to go to sleep every night, grateful for another day with your husband and kids, so I just invite you to try this little mommy hack. Live like you are dying. It's awesome. Crazy, but awesome. Whew.
I'm impressed that you did that so successfully. Just like that you were able to emotionally. I feel like there are very rare instances where I could actually go there that tangibly with my male emotions.
Because
I like cars.
Because you
and
like cars.
Guns.
Yeah, that's why we're the heart of the home,
That's beautiful.
I mean, that is really why. My husband protects my kids from the outside stuff and I protect them from the inside stuff. And sometimes I have to protect you guys from me and my crazies. And so this was just a way to do that. So, all right, we got a PS for you. Another way to be intentional is join our free mini course called the Daughter Dare. And if your daughter is between the ages of 6 and 16, it's for you. And I just want to read a comment from one of our mommies. I love this program that you have put together. Thank you for being so transparent and open. I have been listening to this off and on at work, and I'm very excited to implement these things. My daughters are also adopted, and with one in particular, we're overcoming her hurdles right now. And again, thank you. I am moving on to the next age brackets.
That's
I love
awesome.
that.
The Daughter Dare, it helps you be intentional with your girls, specifically. There's a lot of just going through making recipes in the kitchen together and just having fun, making those fun, crazy, out of the ordinary moments. It is seriously, it's like the whole theme of this in a little
right. And the other thing
daughters.
I was noticing that we added that I'd kind of forgotten, part of our course, it's a paid for course called the Parenting Dare, and we extracted some of those videos that were really specific for daughters. If your child has smartphone, they will most likely be asked by someone, to have them send a nude. And so what we did is we asked a couple of college girls to address that, because you don't want your daughter to commit social suicide and you want her to be able to decline in a way that keeps her cool, or you can just say no. But I mean, we go through all the different ways that you
How to respond to
how
it.
to respond
Yep.
when someone, asks
The biggest
you.
issue is like when you get asked and you're taken by surprise and you don't know how you're going to respond already, and that helps you walk through the steps. And so like in the case that it happens, you know exactly how you're going to respond.
Right. Good point, Eric. And that's the whole thing in the parenting day. We want to help people be educated and they know what's happening before it happens. So anyway, thank you for your time tonight. Wow.
It is. I mean, we're recording at night.
Wow. Oh, you're right. Enjoy your week. Live like you're dying.
Peace.